Hi everyone. So, in honor of Autism Awareness Month, I wanted to take the time to talk to you all about autism spectrum disorder, some of the treatment options available, and the current issues faced with funding and insurance in South Carolina. By the end of this discussion, I hope that you will leave with a better understanding of autism and with the knowledge of how you can make a difference to help families and children in need of services inside South Carolina. So I'm going to start by showing you this quick video that kind of gives you a little bit of background on autism spectrum disorders.
So what do we mean by an autism spectrum disorder? Spectrum, the word basically means range, and that's what we're seeing with these children, that the three areas, the core symptoms of social engagement, speech and language communication, and restricted patterns of behavior and play. This can vary, and it's the degree to which the child has these symptoms is why we call it an autism spectrum. It's like, when does a difference become a dysfunction, become a disorder? So it's really a matter of degree. And I think we need to describe each child individually. You can have a child who's absolutely, for example, like an Asperger's. They have normal speech and language communication. They're not delayed. They may have difficulty with pragmatics or staying on topic or be concrete, but they are not delayed with speech and language. Their IQ may be, is actually within normal, but they can have certain particular interests and fascinations, or have some sensory issues and motor coordination issues. So that would be Asperger's. And that also comes within the spectrum of autism. On the other hand, you have a child who's completely mute and nonverbal and has no eye contact and spinning as if in their own world and very avoidant to touch. So that is another extreme of what probably Dr. Kanner called classic autism. The new definition where this term autism spectrum disorders is being used is really with the DSM-5 that has come into effect as of May 2013. But I think we always use that term. And it's a way of describing the child even within their own range. You can have a child who was more severely impacted to a child who actually the symptoms get milder. So you've improved along the spectrum. There are psychological tests that you can do, for example, something like the CARS, which gives you numbers of mild, moderate, or severe. And sometimes parents like that and need that. It's often done in the school system to monitor progression and symptoms. And the spectrum, I think, also includes what we call the autism phenotype. There are people who just have some of the symptoms without hitting all the classic symptoms of autism, and that was previously, or is still called, pervasive developmental delay, PDD, not otherwise specified. So that is a commonly used term. It's like depression, not otherwise specified. And parents get confused by that, but it's like saying you have some of the symptoms, or your child has some of these symptoms without hitting all the symptoms or all the criteria. And since this is a criteria-based diagnosis, it's important that we put it in this kind of definition. And the fact that children actually move along the spectrum helps us understand what is helping them and what is actually making their symptoms worse.
Okay, so like she mentioned in that video, autism spectrum disorder is a range of conditions that is characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. It's called a spectrum disorder because of the wide variation in challenges and strengths possessed by those with autism. Autism is typically diagnosed around 3 years old. However, there are early intervention programs for children under the age of 3. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention currently estimates that 1 in 68 children in the United States have autism. Autism is more prevalent in males than in females, with 1 in 42 boys having autism compared to 1 in 189 girls. In 2008, the CDC posted results from their South Carolina Autism and Developmental Disabilities Monitoring Program. It showed a 1 in 90 prevalence rate for autism spectrum disorders in South Carolina. So there are multiple treatment options available for children with autism spectrum disorders, and these treatments fall into different categories such as behavior and communication approaches, dietary restrictions, and medications. So within the behavior and communication approaches falls ABA therapy, which is applied behavior analysis. ABA therapy is an intensive one-on-one behavioral therapy approach. ABA therapy is widely accepted among many healthcare providers. While these treatments have been proven to be effective, they're often costly and therefore inaccessible to some families. So fortunately, in the state of South Carolina, we have Ryan's Law. Ryan's Law was passed in 2008 and has since been used as a template for other states across the country. Ryan's Law mandates that insurance companies provide up to $50,000 a year of coverage until the age of 16. With Ryan's Law, ABA therapy is covered for all state employees and large employers. However, Ryan's Law does not cover individuals who are insured through self-funded plans and small group plans, which includes companies with less than 50 employees. So this is a large part of families in South Carolina, which is a large part of children not getting services. Currently, in South Carolina, the advocates are working to update Ryan's Law. And so these updates to Ryan's Law would make some changes to help strengthen the law. Some of these changes include getting rid of the criteria that the diagnosis has to be made by age 8, that coverage would end at 16, and getting rid of that $50,000 cap a year. One of the biggest and most beneficial changes of Ryan's Law, however, is that it would require these self-funded and small group plans to cover the behavioral therapy. And so these changes would allow all children in South Carolina to receive the same opportunity to get ABA and other behavioral therapies. So without Ryan's Law, families who are not able to afford behavioral therapy don't get to experience the benefits of these programs. I personally have seen the benefits of ABA therapy through my 3.5 years working with the Early Autism Project. So this is why the insurance reform means so much to me, and why I hope by the end of this it will mean a lot to you as well. I invite you to think about someone in your life who may have an autism spectrum disorder. Do they have access to affordable treatment? What if they didn't? What would their life be like? So I've told you all about autism spectrum disorders, the treatment options available, the current funding sources, and how the update of Ryan's Law will benefit families by making funding more available and accessible. Now it's your turn to make a difference. You can help make a difference by calling your representatives Brian White and Mike Ryhall and letting them know why the insurance reform is important to you. On these handouts that I'll be giving you, you can find their phone numbers as well as where to get more information on the reform of Ryan's Law. Thank you.